One of the most important facts imparted about the Prophet Jesus in the Quran and the Hadiths is that he did not die, but will return to earth before doomsday. There is a considerable body of evidence regarding this in the Quran. I will place the people who follow you above those who are unbelievers until the day of resurrection. When God said, Jesus, I will take you back and raise you up to me, and purify you of those who are unbelievers, and I will place the people who follow you above those who are unbelievers until the day of resurrection. Then you will all return to me, and I will judge between you regarding the things about which you differed. God mentions that a group of Jesus' true followers will dominate the unbelievers until the day of resurrection. Yet to date, no such group has ever lived. Jesus did not have many followers during his tenure on earth, and with his ascension, the religion that he had brought degenerated rapidly. At present, Christianity is so far removed from its original state that it no longer resembles the religion taught by Jesus. In our day, Christians have adopted the distorted belief that the Prophet Jesus is the Son of God, and possess a superstitious belief in the Trinity, representing the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. In this case, the verse, "And I will place the people who follow you above those who are unbelievers until the day of resurrection," carries a clear message. Those who genuinely follow the Prophet Jesus will appear when he returns to earth, and will be superior to the deniers until doomsday. God knows best. There is not one of the people of the book who will not believe in him before he dies. There is not one of the people of the book who will not believe in him before he dies, and on the day of resurrection he will be a witness against them. The phrase, "There is not one of the people of the book who will not believe in him before he dies," should be noted. Islamic scholars are agreed that the word him refers to the Prophet Jesus, because it is used in the preceding verses in reference to him. There is another noteworthy point in the expression, "before he dies." What is being referred to here is the death of the Prophet Jesus. Yet the Prophet Jesus is not dead, but was raised into the sight of God. In other words, in order to die, he has to return to earth and live upon it. These verses therefore constitute irrefutable evidence that the Prophet Jesus will return to earth. God knows best, of course. And it is also revealed in verses that all members of the revealed religions will believe in the Prophet Jesus. This has not yet happened. In the future, however, when the Prophet Jesus descends again to earth, the people of the book will see and know him, will obey him as Muslims, and the Prophet Jesus will bear witness for them in the hereafter. God knows best, of course. He is a sign of the hour. He is a sign of the hour, have no doubt about it. But follow me. This is a straight path. It is clear that the word he in this verse refers to the Prophet Jesus. That is because the preceding verses also speak of Jesus, and use the adverb he to refer to him. He is only a servant on whom we bestowed our blessing, and whom we made an example for the tribe of Israel. Indeed, almost all commentators on the Quran and great Islamic scholars agree that the he in these verses is the Prophet Jesus. Therefore, this verse is a clear indication that the Prophet Jesus will come back to earth at the end times. That is because the Prophet Jesus lived approximately 6 centuries before the revelation of the Quran. Consequently, we cannot interpret his first coming as a sign of the doomsday. The meaning of the verse is that the Prophet Jesus will return to earth in the end times. In other words, the final period of time before doomsday, and that this will be a portent of doomsday. Based on this interpretation, Abu Huraira, Ibn Abbas, Qatada, Malik ibn Dinar, Ad-Dahak, Abu Razin, Abu Abdurrahman, Humayd and Ibn Mu'ayin state that the coming of the Prophet Jesus will indeed be one of the signs of doomsday. In his commentary, Tabari interprets the verse thus: the appearance of the Prophet Jesus is a sign revealing the coming of the hour of doomsday. That is because his appearance is one of the signs of doomsday. His descent to earth is proof that the end of the world has come, and of the beginning of the hereafter. God knows best, of course. He will teach him the book and wisdom, and the Torah and the Gospel. Remember when God said, Jesus, son of Mary, remember my blessing to you and to your mother when I reinforced you with the purest spirit so that you could speak to people in the cradle and when you were fully grown, and when I taught you the book and wisdom and the Torah and the Gospel. The verse reveals that God will teach Jesus the book, the Torah and the Gospel. Obviously, this book in question is very important. When we examine other verses in the Quran, we see that the term book refers to the Quran. In this case, the Quran is the third book that Jesus will be taught. But this will be possible only when he returns to earth, for he lived approximately 600 years before the Quran's revelation. It is therefore impossible for him to have learned the Quran during the time at which he lived. It is also revealed in the hadiths of our Prophet, may God bless him and grant him peace, that when the Prophet Jesus returns, he will rule not with the Bible, but with the Quran. He will lead you according to the book of your Lord and the Sunnah of your Apostle. In short, the Prophet Jesus will return to earth and will learn the Quran at that time. There is no doubt but that God knows the truth. The likeness of Jesus in God's sight is the same as Adam. The likeness of Jesus in God's sight is the same as Adam. It is also possible that this verse too refers to the return of the Prophet Jesus. Muslim scholars who have written Quranic commentaries point out that this verse indicates the fact that both prophets did not have a father. for God created both of them with the command, "Be." However, the verse could also have another meaning. Just as Adam was sent down to earth from God's presence, Jesus too will be sent down to earth from God's presence. God knows best, of course. The day I was born, the day I die, and the day I am raised up again alive. Peace be upon me the day I was born, the day I die, and the day I am raised up again alive. This verse speaks of the day on which he will die. This death can only be possible after he returns and lives on earth for a period of time. Of course, only God knows for certain. You could speak to people in the cradle, and when you were fully grown. Remember when God said, "Jesus, Son of Mary, remember my blessing to you and to your mother when I reinforced you with the purest spirit so that you could speak to people in the cradle and when you were fully grown." He will speak to people in the cradle and also when fully grown, and will be one of the righteous. Kalan, which is used only in these two verses, only in reference to Jesus, and to express Jesus' adulthood, means someone between the age of 30 and 50, someone who is no longer young, someone who has reached the perfect age. Islamic scholars agree that it denotes the age of 35 or above. Yet, based on hadiths, they state that Jesus was raised up to God's presence in his early 30s. Therefore, the Prophet Jesus did not reach the age of Kalan during his first life. This may also indicate that he will return again to earth and live a second life. In the commentary of At-Tabari, Imam At-Tabari gives the following explanation of these verses. These statements indicate that in order to complete his lifespan and speak to people when fully grown, Jesus will come down from heaven. That is because he was raised to heaven when still young. Jesus will be recognized by the fact that he will have no relatives and that no one will know him. In Surah 3, verse 45, God informs us that the Prophet Jesus is of high esteem in the world and the hereafter, and one of those brought near. Thus, like all the prophets, Jesus will be known to those people surrounding him for the honor and excellence only seen in those chosen by God. Those who see him will recognize him at first sight, and there will be no doubt on this matter in their hearts. Apart from these, there will also be other factors disclosing his identity. No doubt, one of them will be the fact that he will have no relatives, family, or acquaintances on earth. Not a single person will come out and say, "I have known him before, I saw him when." These people are his family and relatives, simply because the people who knew him lived and died about 2,000 years ago. There is no doubt but that this criterion will invalidate the baseless claims of the false messiahs who will appear from time to time. Because it is most illogical for someone who spent all his childhood among people and who has been known to countless people ever since to claim that he is the Prophet Jesus. When the prophet Jesus returns to earth, on the other hand, there will be no doubt as to his identity. Nobody will have any reason to say, this person cannot be the prophet Jesus, because the prophet Jesus will return in the same form that he was raised into the sight of God, wearing the same clothes, and will possess superior features that no human being can possibly imitate.